Welcome to FemFlow, where every story reveals a hidden desire, a crossdresser's identity, true emotions.
In the heart of a small Indian village, where traditions whisper through every festival and the rhythm of drums marks the passage of life, lived a boy named Mohan. But within him, there was another voice, soft yet powerful, yearning to be heard. It was the voice of Mohini, the woman he had always felt inside. What began as an innocent fascination with earrings and nose rings soon turned into a journey of self-discovery, a journey toward acceptance, beauty, and truth. Guided by his childhood friend Reema, Mohan steps beyond the boundaries of fear and mockery, into a moment where adornment becomes liberation, and identity becomes celebration. In a corner of a small town, where the scent of the earth still lingered with childhood memories, the Mohan lived. There was an old tradition in his village. When a girl's nose or ears were pierced, it was celebrated like a festival. The entire community would gather, the beat of the drum would echo through the air, and the girl would be dressed in bright, vibrant clothes. Her hands would be decorated with henna, and relatives would shower her with the gifts of nose rings, earrings, bangles, and elegant dresses. The Mohan would watch this scene intently every time. A strange spark would gleam in his eyes, and a gentle ache would rise in his heart. When everyone blessed the girl, saying, "You've grown up now," a quiet voice would whisper inside him, "I wish I too had those golden earrings dangling from my ears, and that tiny shining nose ring on my face." Every time a girl from his street went through this ritual, the Mohan would watch from behind a window. His eyes were always drawn to those radiant clothes, red, pink, yellow, and green. He thought, if I could wear those clothes, maybe I would blossom as brightly as she does. But then, the next moment, a shadow of fear would fall upon his mind. What will people say? Everyone will laugh. They'll say he is a boy and says such things. Still, every time the Mohan saw a girl hesitantly getting her ears pierced, a faint smile would creep into his heart. This pain must be sweet. The pain of recognition, the pain of belonging. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, the Mohan would stand in front of the mirror, lost in his imagination, putting a finger to his nose, imagining how cute a small nose ring would look there. As he grew older, this desire was no longer just a wish, it began to become a part of his identity. The Mohan within him was no longer afraid of the thought of dressing up. Instead, he started looking forward to every new festival, in the hope that perhaps one day he too would be a part of that ritual, where his true identity would be born with the earrings in his ears and a nose ring. The village was alive with celebration once again, the rhythm of the drums echoing through the streets, the fragrance of henna filling the air, and a festive atmosphere surrounding Reema's house. Today was the ceremony for piercing the ears and nose of Mohan's childhood friend, Reema. She was the same girl with whom Mohan had once built tiny mud houses and arranged pretend weddings for their dolls. But today, Reema herself was becoming a real-life doll. Mohan had been lingering near her house since morning. The sight of the flowing scarves, the sparkling earrings, and the soft glow on Reema's face stirred something deep and unspoken within him. Reema sat draped in a bright red sari, a garland of jasmine woven into her hair, and a faint hint of fear on her face, but her eyes shimmered with excitement. Mohan slowly walked toward her. "Reema, are you scared?" he asked with a gentle smile. Reema chuckled, "A little bit. Mom said it might hurt, but when everyone says I've grown up now, it'll be worth it." It was as if something within Mohan broke, and yet, something new was quietly born. His eyes lingered on Reema's ears, where in just a moment, a golden earring would begin to sway. "Reema." His voice trembled softly, "If I tell you that I love all of this too, will you laugh at me?" Reema looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" Mohan took a deep breath, his eyes lowered. "I mean, when I see a girl all dressed up, with earrings in her ears, a little ring shining in her nose. I feel like maybe all that was meant for me too. Since childhood, I've wished, just once, to dress up like that, to wear earrings, and to see myself in the mirror. Rima's expression softened into a tender smile. She gently held Mohan's hand. Mohan, that's not strange. Everyone has their own color within them. You're just discovering yours. Tears gathered in Mohan's eyes. But Rima, people won't understand these colors. They'll laugh, they'll mock. But when I see you getting ready today, it feels as if some long-suppressed desire of mine is coming alive through you. Rima looked at him deeply and said, then, today's ceremony won't just be mine, Mohan. When my ears are pierced, when the nose ring is placed, remember, half the pain will be yours, and half the joy too. Mohan's eyes overflowed, but not with sadness, rather with acceptance. Slowly, the ritual of piercing Rima's ears and nose began. The steady rhythm of the hand drum echoed through the courtyard. And when the little nose ring was finally placed on Rima's face, Mohan felt as if a new flower had blossomed inside his own soul. He instinctively touched his ears and imagined small earrings gently swaying there too. The fear within him was gone now. All that remained was one pure feeling of belonging, beauty, and recognition. Rima smiled through her tears and whispered, see, Mohan, today love has taken its first step with me. Next time, it'll be your turn. And all Mohan could say, with a trembling smile, was, yes, Rima. Next time, it really will be my turn. There was a question in Rima's eyes now, a quiet, genuine curiosity. Her mind wondered whether Mohan's desire was limited only to the glitter of earrings and the shine of a nose ring, or if there truly existed another world within him, a world where he wished to live not as Mohan, but as Mohini. Though born a boy, he longed to experience life as a girl. By evening, the rituals had ended, and only the rhythmic beat of the hand drum echoed faintly through the village lanes. Rima adjusted the edge of her sari drape over her shoulder and softly said, come on, Mohan. Let's go to the back room for a while. We need to talk. Mohan stood up, hesitant but curious. Once inside, Rima gently closed the door behind them. Now tell me, honestly, how deep does this desire go? Rima asked softly. Mohan looked up, startled. What? What desire? Rima's lips curved into a knowing smile. The one in your eyes, the wish for the nose ring, the earrings, and perhaps something even beyond that. Mohan's breath grew unsteady. His fingers fidgeted nervously. For a moment, he stayed silent, then whispered, Rima, whenever I see a girl getting dressed, it feels as though she's falling in love with herself a little more each moment. The way she looks into the mirror, the peace that shines in her eyes. I want to feel that too, just once. To see myself the way society never wanted me to. Rima listened quietly. There were no tears in her eyes, no shock, only understanding. Mohan's voice trembled as he continued, sometimes I wonder, if I too wore a red scarf, earrings, and a touch of lipstick, would I feel that same peace? That sense of belonging that every girl feels when she adorns herself. Would I be able to feel that too? Rima slowly stepped closer and took his trembling hand in hers. You're afraid, aren't you? Afraid of what people will say? Mohan's eyes fell to the floor. Yes. They'll say I'm no longer a man, that I've become some kind of joke. But how can I hide what I feel so deeply inside? Rima's voice softened, warm as a whisper. Mohan, if this desire comes from your heart, then it isn't an act, it's your truth. And hiding the truth doesn't make it disappear. It only makes it shine brighter. For a while, silence filled the room, soft, fragrant, touched by the scent of roses. Then Rima removed her earrings and gently placed a small, delicate nose ring, one she had received as a gift, into Mohan's palm. Keep these, she said. When you're alone, wear them before the mirror. You won't feel fear then. You'll just feel like you're meeting yourself. Tears welled in Mohan's eyes. He lifted the earrings and nose ring as if holding a dream come true. Rima, you don't know. Today, you've given me the part of myself I've been searching for all these years. Rima smiled softly. I do know, Mohan. And now I'm sure your desire isn't just for your ears or your nose. It's for your identity. Mohan bowed his head slightly, whispering only one word, thank you for understanding me. Rima's voice floated through the silence, tender and certain. This is only the beginning, Mohan. The next step will be transformation. And that day, I'll dress you with my own hands. The next morning, Rima wore a distinctly mischievous smile. Mohan couldn't tell whether she was the same Rima who had wiped away his tears yesterday, or someone entirely new, someone who was planning something grand today. The air was thick with the fragrance of henna and blooming flowers. Rima and Mohan sat together in the courtyard when, all of a sudden, in front of her friends, Rima said, "Come on, Mohan, let's play a game." Mohan chuckled. "What kind of game?" Rima grinned. "If you lose, I'll grant one of your old wishes. But on my terms." Mohan smiled curiously. "All right, I'm in. What do I have to do?" Rima laughed softly. "Simple, you just have to answer all my questions instantly, without a pause or a moment's hesitation. Whoever hesitates, loses." Rima wanted to show off her cleverness to her friends in such a way that none of them could guess what was really brewing between her and Mohan. She wished to bring Mohan's hidden desire to life, but in a playful, teasing way. So, she began asking him questions, one after another, while her friends laughed and enjoyed the little game between them. Rima fired her questions with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Have you ever felt like a girl? Do you ever wish to wear long earrings? Do you ever dream of a beautiful nose ring? Her questions were bold enough to make any boy hesitate. It was a perfect display of Rima's wit and daring. With each question, Mohan's voice grew softer, his cheeks turned crimson, and finally, he lowered his head and whispered, "Rima, you've won." Rima smiled gently and said, "Mohan, you didn't lose today. Today, you found your love." Rima immediately turned to her friends, Mamta, Geeta, and Sunita, and said, "Now tell me, what should Mohan's punishment be?" After a short discussion, everyone agreed on one thing. Sunita grinned and said, "Mohan's punishment should be connected to the questions he hesitated to answer. So, let's celebrate by holding a nose and ear piercing ceremony for him." Rima and all her friends burst into laughter and began to dance with excitement. Without wasting a moment, Rima asked her friends to call the village auntie, the elderly woman who had been performing nose and ear piercing rituals for all the girls in the village for years. When the old auntie arrived, Rima said with a playful smile, "Auntie, you must have pierced the noses and ears of hundreds of girls. But today is going to be truly special. Because today, you'll make a boy feel what it's like to be a girl. This will be our Mohan's very first beauty ritual." All of Rima's friends burst out laughing again. "Wow, Rima, this must be the first time something like this is happening in the village." Mohan's cheeks turned red with embarrassment. "Rima, what are you doing?" he asked softly. Rima placed her hand gently on his shoulder and led him a little away from everyone. "It's what you've always wanted," she whispered. "The only difference is, today, there's laughter all around you, but you're not afraid anymore." Slowly, Rima led Mohan into a room and draped a light pink veil over his head. "This veil," she said tenderly, "represents the identity you've been hiding all this time." The elderly auntie stepped forward and opened small ornate boxes filled with delicate nose rings and earrings. Meanwhile, Rima's friends began to play the gentle rhythm of the hand drum. dholak, and sang softly, "Let the nose ring be adorned, let our Kanhaiya, the beloved, be beautified." Mohan's heart was racing, yet there was a strange calm in his eyes. When the auntie said gently, "It'll only sting a little, my child," Rima smiled and whispered, "Today, she's not our son, not our Mohan, but our Mohini." As soon as the elderly aunt's needle pierced Mohan's nose, a faint shiver passed through his body. It wasn't pain, but the sensation of being reborn. Then, small, round earrings were fastened to his ears, swaying gently with each breath of air. Rima held up a mirror in front of him. "Look, it's you, the you you've dreamed of for years." Mohan's eyes filled with tears, yet a smile blossomed on his lips. "Rima, this isn't pain, it feels as though a missing part of me has finally been completed." His friends clapped and laughed softly. "Oh, Rima, he truly looks like one of us now." Rima smiled tenderly. "Why not? That part of him was always there, it's just that today, it's finally visible." The room was filled with the mingled fragrance of laughter, makeup, and emotion. Amidst it all, Mohan, now Mohini, bowed before the mirror, touched her new earrings lightly, and whispered, "Today, I have found myself." Mohan stood before the mirror. It felt as though he was meeting himself for the very first time. A delicate silver nose ring glimmered softly, the gentle chime of earrings echoed in his ears, and a smile curved on his lips, a smile that had perhaps been hidden for years. Slowly, he gazed into his reflection, and for a fleeting moment, he whispered to himself, "This is me, my true form, my real identity." A faint blush colored his cheeks, and tears shimmered in his eyes, not tears of pain, but of a deep, soothing peace he had never known before. Each soft jingle of his earrings seemed to whisper to his heart, "See, you're no longer hiding. You're finally free." An indescribable feeling blossomed within him. He thought to himself, "If adornment is a sin, then I will gladly embrace it again and again. Because in these moments, I truly feel alive. I can finally hear the rhythm of my own heartbeat." Rima gently rested her hand on his shoulder. "Don't be afraid," she said softly. "This adornment doesn't weaken you, it connects you to who you truly are." Tears shimmered in Mohan's eyes as he whispered, "Rima, I think I finally understand. Adornment isn't shameful, it's the language of the soul. It's the expression of all the emotions I've kept buried for so many years." The delicate tinkling of his earrings filled the air, as if every chime spoke directly to his heart. "You are as beautiful as anyone else. Your womanhood no longer needs anyone's approval." And in that moment, it was no longer Mohan who stood there, but Mohini, a soul that had not chosen to hide or compromise, but to embrace and accept itself completely. The courtyard now shimmered with a different kind of glow. Dusk had settled, lamps flickered everywhere, and the air was rich with the fragrance of flowers. Rima looked around with a smile and said, "Today, our Mohini has grown up. This is no longer about winning or losing, it's a rebirth. And every birth deserves gifts, doesn't it?" Her friends burst into laughter, their joy spreading like sweetness in the air, as if a celebration had just begun. The village aunt, who had been sitting nearby, stood up with a gentle smile. In her hand, she held a small silver plate filled with turmeric, kumkum, the sacred red powder used in blessings, and fresh flowers. She walked slowly toward Mohan and, with trembling hands, softly touched his head. "Daughter," she said tenderly, "may your spirit continue to bloom. And may you always find joy in this new form of yours." The word daughter left her lips, and tears welled up in Mohan's eyes. That single word sank deep into his heart. It was more than a blessing. He was no longer the one who had once hesitated before the mirror. He was now someone who, for the very first time, had been accepted by a voice from the world outside. Rima immediately turned to her friends and said with excitement, Come on, it's our turn. Today, together, we'll give her a gift that will become the symbol of this moment. One of her friends opened a silk pouch and brought out a pair of sparkling earrings and a delicate nose ring, tiny pearls glimmering on them like dew. Rima smiled softly and said, "These are for you. So that every time you look in the mirror, you remember, you didn't just receive these, you earned them, with your courage." Together, her friends placed the earrings in her ears, and with each gentle jingle, it felt as if a new melody was awakening inside her. When the nose ring was finally placed, Auntie, the affectionate village elder, blessed her warmly. "Now you are complete, my dear." The sweet tinkling of anklets filled the air, and everyone's faces glowed with happiness. Rima clapped her hands, announcing, "From today, our Mohini officially becomes one of us." The friends burst into laughter, and Mohan, now Mohini, bowed down to touch Aunt's feet. At that very moment, his heart whispered, "My truth now lives in every jingle of these earrings. This nose ring is not just an ornament, it's the first breath of my womanhood." Rima placed her hand gently on his shoulder and whispered, "Don't be afraid anymore, because from today, you are not alone. You are one of us." The lamps in the courtyard flickered once again, and the air, fragrant with flowers, seemed to welcome a new beginning, not the birth of a boy, but of a woman, in the glow of acceptance, under the shade of love, and in the tender music of her earrings.